Alright, yeah, welcome back to some more Magic Arena, and today we're going to be playing around in the midweek Magic event called What Was Written. This is essentially Pioneer, hence why I've put my little tag for Pioneer for today's deck. It's going to be Arena's non-rotating format, I'm pretty sure. It's almost certainly set in stone at this point. So, yeah, excited to get Pseudo Pioneer on. Pretty close to getting the full format on here anyway, really, as far as like all the tier decks. They're all missing like one or two cards here and there, like this Gates deck, for example. Pretty close to the optimal Pioneer form that I would expect from it. It doesn't have Gate Creeper Vine or Abruptigate, but we do have Mythos of Nethroi, and we've got Growth Spirals and things like that to help cover the missing pieces. It's essentially a Temur deck, and the mana base is suited accordingly, so all of the Temur gates are all 4-ofs. And then we've got Maze's End as an alternative win condition, and then we've also got Plaza of Harmony, which can be a 5-color land, basically. And then the rest are just the filler gates to make sure that Maze's End wins, because this is one of the ways that we can win the game. It's not really the primary way half the time, but it is one thing we can do. It's a tapped colorless land, and it's 3 to tap, and then you return Maze's End to its owner's hand, search your library for a gate card, and put it onto the battlefield. Then if you control 10 or more gates with different names, you win the game. I can't remember how many gates there are currently. At the moment, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So you need 10 out of the 11 gates to win with Maze's End. It's actually easier than you might expect, because we've got lots of ways to make additional land drops right in the early game. We've got the Arboreal Grazer. If we can get this one down on turn 1, that's great. So we've got a forest to make that potentially happen. That can put our tap lands down just the same as we would normally. So, you know, we can go from... It's likely to be played on turn 2 most of the time. But then that ramps us into our 3-drop slot, where we've got lots of gate payoff cards as well. We've got Guild Summit, we've got Gates Ablaze, and we've got Gatebreaker Ram. Guild Summit is a 3-mana enchantment that enters the battlefield, and you tap any number of untapped gates, and then draw a card for each gate tapped this way. And then whenever a gate enters the battlefield under your control, you get to draw a card. So all of your lands redraw. Fantastic. Gates Ablaze is a sorcery that deals X damage to each creature, where X is the number of gates you control. So a sweeper that grows larger and larger as time goes on. Again, awesome. And then Gatebreaker Ram, a 3-mana 2/2 that gets +1/+1 for each gate you control. And as long as you've got 2 or more gates, it has Vigilance and Trample, so it can go right over our opponent's creatures. Fun fact about the Gatebreaker Ram, because it has base power 2, power and toughness 2 too, that means that it can never really be killed by Gates Ablaze, because it'll always have 2 damage remaining before it will die. So what you could do is sweep your opponent's entire board and then swing through with a huge Gatebreaker Ram. We've got 28 lands in total and quite a lot of gates, so this thing's going to be quite huge, and it's probably not going to be the only one there. We also have Gate Colossus as well, an 8-mana 8/8 that costs 1 less to cast for each gate you control. Cannot be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less, so chump blocking's not really an option. Same thing for the Gatebreaker Ram, since it gets the trample once it gets large enough. And then whenever a gate enters the battlefield under your control, you can put Gate Colossus from your graveyard on top of your library, allowing you to constantly replay this thing. It's pretty disgusting. And if you've got the Guild Summit in play, then you can trigger it in such a way that the Gate Colossus gets put back on top, and then you draw it, and then you can probably play it for free once you've got 8 gates in play. It doesn't care about unique gates, so it's just any gate, which is pretty great. And then finally, we've got things like Dryad of the Elysian Grove and Escape to the Wilds, which allow us to make additional lands every single turn, so really churn through our deck with the Guild Summit that way. It'll also turn all of our lands into 5-color lands in the case of Dryad of the Elysian Grove, and this one will exile 5 cards from the top of our library, allowing us to dig for our sweeper. I played this deck during the last midweek Magic event, where this was the format of choice, and it did pretty well. It did struggle a little bit in some cases. There's a lot of situations where you need the gates ablaze and you don't find it. But this thing is pretty versatile. It's going to blow up quite a lot of stuff. And yeah, anything it doesn't blow up, there's a Mythos and Nethroi there. Or you could just murder your opponent with Rams and Colossus. There's only so many times you can counter this card before it returns and sticks around. So yeah, this deck was pretty sweet. Well, last time I played it, but I never recorded for it. So today, we're going to change that. Let's go. This video is brought to you by the generous support of our wonderful patrons and channel members that you see here. If you'd like to support the channel and get access to cool content like sneak peeks, bonus videos, polls on future content, or access to a personal deck critique from myself every month, then hit the join button down below, or check out the Patreon link in the description. With all that said, let's get into the gameplay. Alright, we go first. We have no coloured mana, which is honestly quite wild. Blows my mind. Is there any redeemable qualities to this hand? I mean, these are untapped lands, so if I drew a Guild Gate, there's a good chance it's either green or blue. I think I'll just mulligan that one. Alright, this is basically the hand we were looking for anyway. And we'll put back a Rakdos Guild Gate, I want to say. No, let's keep the unique gates. Let's go down Izzet Guild Gate, because we got the blue and the green for Guild Summit and Dryad. We got the red for the Gates Ablaze. This puts us on a better path towards a Maze's End victory. So, play the on-colour ones first. Getting all three of our colours as soon as possible would be ideal. Let's see if this is a Gates Ablaze matchup. Temple of Abandon. Says to me that there's a good chance. Alright, we get an untapped forest, which means we can play our turn 3 spells. Which one do we lead on? I don't think we lead on Dryad, mostly because I don't want to play the gate before Guild Summit. So I think I would just play Guild Summit. And pay it however you wish. They've got a Paradise Druid. So is it a Jund mid-range list? We've got 4 mana. Cathartic Reunion. Oh. It's what's the name of that card? Stormy Boy, who puts all of the auras onto his body. That guy. I'm sweeping the Paradise Druids here, I think. I want our opponent to spend as much time setting up as possible. Gatebreaker Ram. So that should help me close out the game nice and quickly. So that's probably the thing I'm going to fly off and hit our opponent with as soon as possible. More Scrylands. To the bottom. Love to see it. Dumps 2 lands. So I could get greedy and go Growth Spiral, play Guildgate, and try for an untapped land, but I really don't think it's worth it. Let's just play a 5/5 that's now a 6/6, draw a card, and we would have whiffed, so good to know. I guess if they get the Stormy Boy and it gets this Colossification on it, I think it sacks them all at the end, right? So they need an aura that untaps it or something like that. Can't remember how they use the Colossification card, because I'm pretty sure it goes away on the end step. Alright, so now we're going to go with the Growth Spiral. Play the Guildgate, draw a card. Gateway Plaza, that's a pretty good one. So we're going to play the Dryad of the Elysian Grove. Go Plaza of Harmony, gaining 3, and then the Gateway Plaza turns the Ram into an 8/8 and draws me a card. Next turn, Escape to the Wilds can do some nonsense. We got Maze's End now as well, which is fantastic. And our opponent is very close to dying. In fact, if they don't win here, I'll just Gates Ablaze and I've got lethal on board. They don't seem like the kind of deck that... Ooh, they got the Finale of Devastation. So is that enough to do it? So, Storm Herald, that's the card I was thinking of. Gets the Colossification, but that taps the Storm Herald down. And then they get exiled. Oh, they fling. For Xaxes. Oh, that's so rude. That is so rude. This deck's doing so badly today because it's going up against bad things. Oh, God. First bad matchup and then exactly lethal. If we'd have just gotten another Plaza of Harmony, our opponent would be dead there. I guess probably there's a good chance Escape to the Wilds would have gotten it. And if they didn't have the Storm Herald, which they've been violently digging for a long time, swing over for lethal was ours. So I'll count this one as a win in my heart, but obviously on paper it's very much a loss there. But yeah, all right. Well, let's move on. Alrighty, opponent goes first. We've got a reasonable hand. I do really need an untapped land, but we're on the draw. And we've got a few turns to find it. Opponent's on mountains. Alright, well, Gatebreaker Ram could be very scary for them. Arboreal Graze is also going to be a good blocker if it's mono-red aggro, which it is. Alright, they steal Gate Colossus. In a million years, they will not cast that card. So I'm going to go Arboreal Grazer, get my Gruul Guildgate in play. And let's go with the Rakdos Guildgate as well. That'll make my Ram a 5/5, and it'll be a 6/6 once I've played the Guildgate. And I'm sure they won't be pushing through my Vigilant 6/6 Gatebreaker Ram at that point. I can attack with it, I can block with it. All will be well with the world. So yeah, now we've got our shields up. Our shields up and our threats in place. Highly doubt our opponent's attacking through. We're going to gain a little bit of life here with Plaza of Harmony. Love to see it. And we're definitely going to ignore the tapper there. Continue to ignore the tapper there. Yep, that's more like it. Sure, that'll do. Tap, tap, draw 2. And swing for 6 while we still can. Our opponent's only got 5 on board, so no issue there. We can block one of the Robbers of the Rich. If they've got a way to push through the extra damage here, then we can certainly just play our other Gatebreaker Ram and be more than happy about the scenario. Anax is very spooky, though. So they just want to turn some of their creatures into satyrs. Sure, they get a crappy card and a card that will not ever do anything. Good. Awesome. Take 2. Love to see it. The devotion goes down a little bit as well, so it's only a 6/3 now. Gonna go Simic Guildgate. That's a Gate Colossus. I'm gonna play... No, I'm not going to play Gate Colossus. I'm going to swing for 7 first, and then there's a chance we can Growth Spiral the Ram out of kill range if they go for a double block. They do not go for the double block. I think I go for a Growth Spiral. Yeah, I take my chances at cheapening the Gate Colossus and also just hitting our opponent for a ton. Play the Azorius Guildgate. Down to 5. Play the Gate Colossus. And now we've got 3 unstoppable threats. Our opponent could have Embercleave with the Anax, so I've got to block it as though it would be Embercleaved. But I think the worst they could do other than that is, what, 6, 8, 10, 11? So, yeah, if I just block one of the 2s and just double block like this, I think I'm okay. Ooh, they got my Mythos of Nethroi. I think I'll just make sure that I don't get Embercleaved. And die to it. Yep, they had it. So obviously this is very bad for me. But Anax is down. And we do have 2 more Gatebreaker Rams, which short of them having another Anax is probably going to stop whatever gets Ember Cleaved. Unless they flash in another one. So I think I'm just going to go Ram. Play Guildgate. Once again, leaving up in the Growth Spiral as well. Which can put Maze's End in as a worst case scenario. Oh, we also get a free Gate Colossus as well. Forgot about that. Yeah, I'll take that. Free 8/8. And this is the power of gates. Hands down, like, if Gate Colossus dies, I could potentially Growth Spiral, put a gate into play, and then summon it back on top later. Okay, they're gonna hit me down to 9. Do they have what it takes to finish with the Ember Cleave? Light up the stage for full price. I would say that means that it's no. And yeah, they just took their best chance to winning there and couldn't find the pieces. They only have 1 point of damage guaranteed extra there. So yeah, pretty sweet. Alright, well, I would think this matchup was a lot worse, finding less Plaza and Harmonies than we did. If we'd have found a couple more, that would have been much nicer, but yeah, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we were 4 Maze's End triggers away from winning the game there. We could have gone with Escape to the Wilds to go find some of our unique gates, perhaps. That could have done some good stuff, but, I mean, just look at the board state. We've already got Lethal. This is the primary way to win. I wouldn't look at my mana base and say that it's suboptimal for Maze's End, because it's really the secondary way that we win the game. It's if these Rams just cannot get through, win with your lands instead. You just have this really hard to deal with inevitable win con. So, although we seem to be quite consistently far away from Maze's End, it's because it's here for the long game more than anything. It's not actually like a key part of our game. And also, if we had the Pioneer version of this deck, we would have Gate Creeper Vines pulling the gates out of our deck as well, instead of Arboreal Grazers. Or maybe in addition to. I'm not sure what the Pioneer deck looks like these days, but yeah. You can make this a lot more consistent once we get Gate Creeper Vine, but whether that'll happen or not is to be determined. Either way, on to the next one. Alrighty, opponent goes first. Have we ever been on the play? Feels like we haven't. This hand, it's sort of functional, but I also think it's a mulligan. Like, I can get Gate Creeper, Arboreal Grazer to put down another gate. If I don't draw a third, then I'm not doing anything, and these aren't really doing anything either, so yeah, this is much better. Alright, well, we're gonna go keep. Part of me thinks the answer here is Dryad to the bottom. Similar to our last game, we want to play Summit before the Dryad, because we don't want to play that additional land for no value. And yeah, Gates Ablaze is just that panic button that we might end up needing. Opponent is a Secret Lair fan with their Street Fighter nonsense. We're going to make sure that we've got both blue and red going into turn 3, which obviously with Gateway Plaza we're going to have. Ooh, Ruin Crab. Well, they can put my Gate Colossi into my graveyard, and then I can draw cards with them. Maybe. Certainly a way of stopping our opponent from just winning off of mill. I don't know how well this matchup goes. I kind of feel like the answer is badly. Thoughtseize. I mean, help yourself. I can't really do anything. Goodbye, Gates Ablaze. 'Tis my way of answering Ruin Crab, so that does sting a little. Let's play the Gruul Guildgate, and then the Golgari Guildgate. Yeah, I think Maze's End is, like, just not possible with the amount of mill that's going on here. And we got Gate Colossus. So yeah, the more our opponent mills us, the more Colossus go into our graveyard. And every time they go into our graveyard, we can put them back on top, which means Ruin Crab does a little less every time. So even though this Colossus might get milled again, it's actually just adding a card to our deck, which holds value. See if our opponent has like a Drown in the lock. And they're gonna now. Yeah. Our opponent's probably gotten a little bit too much value for us here. Can't quite handle this. If we had like some way of mass reanimating our lands, it might be a bit of a different story. But we don't. So this will cost 2 after a Guild Gate. 31 cards left. I'm just trying to figure out, do I want to play Guild Summit? Maybe 1's okay. If I'm going to lose, it's going to be real quick anyway. And I guess Guild Summit could put a Colossus on top. So I'm going to do Guild Summit. Don't really care what happens to this. We're going to say no. We're going to go Orzhov Guildgate. I'm going to draw a card, then put Colossus on top. For now. Because I've got one in hand and I can't play the other, so it might as well just be a buffer for things like Tasha's Hideous Laughter. And I can always draw it and play it next turn when it costs 1 mana from this Gruul Guildgate. Opponent does have a Heartless Act for the Gatecreeper Ram. Gatebreaker Ram. Alright, there goes the Colossus. Yeah, Mill's a lot of fun, eh? Having fun yet? Alright, there goes Thought Thief. 2 lands into the yard, take 2. Thought Sees Me, take the card I was never going to play. Opponent discards a card. Alright, so I could trade with a Thieves Guild Enforcer. And then put my Colossi on top, draw one of them. I mean, I guess that's the plan. My alternative is to draw blind, put a Colossus on top, and just hope that it's either Gates Ablaze or my Mythos. So I'm going to do it like this. So put it on top, draw it, and then put the other one on top. That way I keep a threat in play since I can't draw this one. And then we can put Gigantha to the hand. As another threat our opponent has to worry about. I can't see much hope for us winning this game, mind you. They've, I mean, they've drawn as many cards as we've milled, in a nutshell. There goes our other Final Gate Colossus. 20 cards left. We did get another Guild Gate, so that's pretty good. So I'm just going to go to combat first. See what they want to do. Got another Enforcer. Yep, they block. They're going to have an answer for us the entire way. It's just the sad reality of this matchup. So, yeah, do it like that. There's really not much point even playing this out. Beyond just maybe occasionally I might just get lucky. But I don't typically like to play to just get lucky. I find it to be a miserable Magic the Gathering experience. And the chance of me getting lucky when they've got 10 cards in hand is very slim. 19 cards, 3 Ruin Crabs, and no doubt a Fabled Passage to follow. Just a normal land. Okay. So there goes 9 cards. Down to 10. And Tasha's Hideous Laughter should do it. Assume that they have some. Or is this just rogues? Are you just playing rogues? Because I was really happy when this deck died, I'll be honest. Alright, let's dig for something. I mean, I kind of have to. So I'm going to tap 3. Because I've got the Plaza of Harmony. Gates Ablaze. So that's the card I was looking for. They've probably got Drown in the lock though, because that's a card that they run. Yeah. Alright, let's stop being in hell and let's go have fun. Alright, on the play, finally. Gotta get lucky eventually, right? It's just 2 tap lands and that's it. I'm just gonna YOLO it. Like, this looks like a bad hand, but maybe my problem, being unlucky as I am today, is not taking the terrible looking hands. Maybe that's the offering that the game is giving me, and I'm turning it away, and then they're like, well, screw you. Draw everything you don't need. So let's just take this terrible hand and see how it shapes up, because it does have all the pieces we need to make a game of Magic the Gathering function for us. But it does need a 3rd land in order to make it truly pop off. Which, it's a 28 land deck, so it's basically a coin flip every draw that will draw a land. Not so much draw an untapped land, though. That's a little bit harder to pull off. Let's see what our opponent's doing, if anything. Are we just going to get a free win now that I've taken this crappy hand and bet that it will win me the game? Nope. Alright, we're here. It's a Gruul land for our opponent. Play our own Gruul land to send a message here. Friend is the message. Alright, so untapped land is going to be great for us. I think there's no doubt about that. Ooh, it's Naya with Thalia. Great. Awesome. Well, we at least get a blocker. Might as well play the Arboreal Grazer, even though it doesn't really do anything. It almost 0 there. Can you even do that? I guess you can. I don't know why it didn't let me. Alright, so we still just need the untapped land though, because Thalia's a fun card that everyone wants to play against. Spellbinder. Can't make this hand any worse. Probably take the Gates Ablaze. I mean, you have to, right? It's the removal for your entire board, and probably anything you'll play afterwards. So, really, this is tank, 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 take the only card in my hand. What, really? Why? Ah, I understand now. That's why. You won't draw a land that punishes this. You can't do that. No, no, no. Don't be silly. Alright, this is where they play Helana and Elena. Another Spellbinder, okay. So now you take the Gates Ablaze, because it was the only card in my hand before, and it's still the only card in my hand now. If you don't take it, you're actually asking to lose. So tank, 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 take the only card in my hand. What is wrong with this person? I'm not, like, misevaluating my cards, am I? It truly is the only card in my hand worth taking. Wow. Thalia is strong. Alright, Spellbinder, take Gate Colossus, I suppose, because it's really spooky. Oh, God. So we're taking 6 in the air. Brutal Cathar, we're taking 8 this turn. Still an untapped land to win. Alright, we're at 8. We either lose or win right now. Imagine not taking Gates Ablaze twice in a row. I don't know what to tell you, chat. I really don't. Now they lose. Because Because I can't even, like, in my head, I can't think of a single reason why they wouldn't take Gates Ablaze. Other than the first time, which was, I have another Spellbinder to take it. Like, I just can't think of a good reason. There's Minsk. Okay, so they have a 1/1 Hasty Hamster. I have a Mythos of Nethroy. Can turn it into a 3/3. Yeah, sure. Am I killing it? Or am I blocking it, should I say? I guess I might as well. It's going to be a 1/1 next turn. I'm going to kill the Minsk. Pretty sure I'm going to kill... Oh, I can't let the Minsk live because it'll turn this this Boo into a creature that's too big for me. So... kill you. Just pay with... Yep, like that's fine. And then play the guild gate. Hope for the best. 3 cards in hand for our opponent. And they're not good enough. Well, that was a wild ride, wasn't it? I don't know what to say. I truly don't. Like... Come on, they took 5 minutes to decide as well. I could have read every single card in my hand in the amount of time it took them to take 2 of the wrong cards. Chat, help me. Honestly, help me. I feel bad. Am I missing something? Let me know if I'm missing something. Anyway, on to the next game. Alrighty, we play first. We've got the ability to Growth Spiral on 2, which sets up Guild Summit on 3. So we're going to keep this one. We're on the play. Very exciting stuff. We do kind of not get value out of Plaza of Harmony in terms of the life gain, but we don't really care about that. Opponent's got a Castle Vantress, blue, black. Okay. They don't have a 3-drop. A 2-drop that does anything with the stack, which means this Guild Summit here is very likely to draw me a card. We'll make sure it does by playing our Plaza of Harmony here. Paying whatever. And then tapping our Simic Guild Gate. Got Gates Ablaze. Alright, well, kind of hope that maybe it's a tempo deck, so these Gates Ablazes aren't just dead cards in our hand. But again, maybe we don't hope it's a tempo deck, because tempo decks aren't fun. Got Boros Guild Gate. Suppose we could start with that. Another Guild Summit. The issue we have right now is that we don't have black mana. So I think I'm just going to go Guild Summit again. Seems like a matchup where if I bury my opponent in card advantage, I might win the game. Escape to the Wilds isn't bad. So it's like... I don't know, now I'm thinking it's blue-black control. We'll take our draw. It's a Growth Spiral. Well, they didn't have a counter last time. They've had a few draws since then. They do have double blue. Let's Growth Spiral. Because if we hit a land, we're going to draw a lot of cards here. Yep, cool. So we drew the 1, we drew the 2 off of the Guild Summit. Looking for, I think, Gate Colossus and things like that is just a reasonable thing to dig towards. Play Guild Gate, draw 2 again. If we drew a land, we could play Dryad to stop ourselves properly discarding to hand size, which I think is reasonable. We're only discarding 1 card anyway, and it's looking like these Gates Ablazes are terrible. But we managed to avoid hand size discarding, so that's quite nice. I'm sure our opponent let that resolve because they have a removal spell. They'll be stacked on them, I would guess. Going for a Midnight Clock activation, actually. So that'll trigger on our turn currently. I mean, it's doing nothing because their hand is that full of cards. Now it'll do something. We have a Mythos of Nethroi, though, so it's going to be a mill matchup, but we have a target for the tutelage. There's a Maze's End in the yard. Less than ideal. Maybe they've just been letting these summits go because they know that they can definitely win the race. So I definitely want to bait out counters. How do we go about doing that? I think it's got to be Escape to the Wilds. Letting me look at 5 cards here. Going Guildgate, draw 2. We've got a Gate Colossus here, which is going to be just about free by the time we're done with it. And yeah, now it's free. So play the Gate Colossus, which is a threat our opponent has to deal with. This is instant speed, so I can maybe hit our opponent on their turn with Mythos. Discarding 5 cards. Yeah, I think I'll tap them out on their turn. Or on their end step here if they do something. Went for the Heartless Act. We kill the tutelage. There we go. That's what we were hoping for. And then discard 4. Grazer, Summit, Summit, Blaze, go. Obviously, we drew a lot of cards to get to that point. We've got 26 cards left to go. So, not too far for a mill deck to work on. So let's go Gatebreaker Ram. So these are 3s, and Gate Colossuses are 8s. Notably, which means if they have, like, Extinction Event as a kill spell, they're not going to be able to hit all of our threats here. Opponent with the mill. Come on, Gate Colossus. No Gate Colossus yet. That one resolves. Play Selesnya Guildgate, putting the Colossus back on top so we can play it and threaten lethal. Our opponent would then need the board wipe. Definitely do not need to play more lands, drawing more cards. So our opponent's got 3 cards to play with. What can they do? What did we just lose? The Dryad of the Elysian Grove. Yep, sure. So it draws 4 cards with no draw payoff because we got rid of the tutelage. The Sweet Punish. Oh yeah, that couldn't cause a crash later on in the game. This must mean that they've got another Heartless Act or something. Yeah, Drown in the Lock. Sure. Got our Boreal Grazer. We're just going to go Gigantha, Plague Gigantha here. And hit our opponent for 10. Five, 8, 3. I don't want to commit more odds to the board by playing Dryad of the Elysian Grove. So they can redraw 7 cards, which is going to happen on my turn. So if they got the Teferi's tutelage here, then I'm dead, I guess. But bye-bye 4 cards. Hello, new 7. Do they get the removal spells they need to win the game? That's a Gate Colossus. Lovely. We'll play that post-combat. Our opponent doesn't need to know about it just yet. So there's 1 Drown in a Lock. Threatening lethal. Do you have it? They do. Alright, going down to 4. I've got 16 cards left. Play a Gate Colossus. So this threatens lethal, so instead of playing a land and playing Gate Colossus... that changes things, I think. So, put all 3 back on top, draw 2. Play 2. So 1 removal spell isn't enough. The other one on top of our deck is a buffer for mill. Tasha's Hideous Laughter has to go through 8 mana value there. I guess I should have played Dryad of the Elysian Grove here, because if I was playing around Extinction Event, then I have lethal in odds and evens. They've got the tutelage. I've got 14 cards, so they have to draw 7 here with the tutelage. Been a lot of mill today. I actually kind of feel like Gate Colossus should be a 4 of because of the amount of mill that we've seen so far. But yeah, just random amount of removal there. That's basically the upside of having Gate Colossus in this deck, is it's just a recurring threat that your opponent constantly has to deal with. And 1/1 and 2/2 tokens are just not going to cut it either, since it has that unblockable threat to it. You could also put the other Ravnica card, the one that gives Riot to creatures. That would allow you to hit with Gate Colossus with haste. It's an option, definitely. It's not really seen much in a lot of the Pioneer versions of this deck, though, so it's probably for a good reason. Who am I to question the mighty net deck? But yeah, either way, though. Caught a game against Mill, so pretty happy with that. Let's carry on, shall we? Alrighty, on the draw once again, as is tradition. We don't even have green mana this time. That is wild. I'm going to keep it, though. Gateway Plaza does get me green, it just gets me far too slow. But I'm keeping it because I figured Gates of Blaze would be good in this matchup, and it's appearing like it will be with the Kumanu here. Red-white. Ah, the old Thalia. Alright, well, they're going to go Elite Spellbinder and take Gatebreaker Ram, obviously. Or maybe Arboreal Grazer. Which one's scarier to you, chap? It's one or the other, as we've learned. So, 5 damage coming in. Very spooky. I am going to be able to get to Gates of Blaze mana, though, thanks to this Arboreal Grazer. And we'll be able to block a little bit of damage as well. So, play the Grazer, play a Dimir Guildgate, play an Izzet Guildgate. And they can't Spellbinder me off of Gates of Blaze here, and they can't do an additional Thalia attacks. So I'm just going to block the 3, take 5 probably. And then blow up the world. Play a tap land. Okay, we're going to take a little bit more. This could lead them to a hasty win. Being at 5 is not a great place for me. But their board is gone now. I'm going to need some of my Plaza of Harmonies to bring my health right back up, ideally. Sun Gold Sentinel can eat my Gates of Blaze. Short of Gate Colossus have no graveyard hate, so... or graveyard interaction. I don't think I can afford to let this board state stick around. My life total is such a resource that if they find a way to pump through and around my Gatebreaker Ram, I'm going to be in a lot of trouble. So I think I'm just going to sweep, draw my card. Mythos, okay. And then I've got double 3-drop next turn, which could be creature removal plus Ram. Which I think is the case. Make sure I've got black open here. So I've got an 8/8. They've got a dead Adelaine. And now I'm pretty confident that the victory is mine, short of our opponent having elite spellbinders. Thalia is no longer really a concern. And our opponent knows it. Alright. Yeah, that's the power of Gates Ablaze. We finally got there. We got to a matchup where our deck was actually good, which is a creature deck. But every creature deck apparently has Thalia in it now, so... Yeah, I think... overall, the last time I played this deck, it was pretty good. This time, it wasn't so good. But that could just mean that it needs tweaking. I don't even know if anything's changed since the last time I played it, but... Yeah, those matchups we had were not really the matchups that I went against last time. There was a lot of permanent types that just weren't what my deck was made to beat. Lots of planeswalkers that don't get hit by Gates Ablaze, you know, lots of hand disruption that messed around with me, a lot of mill as well. Mill was quite annoying since we've got this Guild Summit that draws half my deck. Can't play that anymore. Can't really leverage a lot of my deck. You know, Growth Spirals, Iterations, Escape to the Wilds, all of these mill me basically, so that was terrible. But yeah, in the matchups where it was creature focused, we definitely made quick work of our opponent, I would say, when we could at least. On the draw a lot as well, so that's going to factor into it. I would say overall, this deck's probably, maybe, I don't know, maybe not worth crafting. I will say, though, that it is budget-worthy. These Growth Spirals aren't actually rares, so you've only got Dryad Elysian Grove, Plaza of Harmony, these Maze's Ends, which if you bought any of the historic anthologies, you'd already have, and then 3 Escape to the Wilds. And I think that's all the rares that are in the deck. And some of these I would say you could probably budgetize as well. This deck certainly could do with a little bit of a tweak. So as far as like the only cards that are not that are compulsory editions, like the Plaza of Harmony, the Maze's End, I would say are compulsory. You got 6 cards here that are rare that you could swap out. Oh, also the Mythos of Nethroi could just be just about any removal spell. Assassin's Trophy might actually just be better. Maybe that'll do some good. Maybe the Escape to the Wilds could go down a little bit. Tweak these. Depends on what you've got here, but yeah, it's a budget-friendly deck anyway, so if you are interested in checking it out, you could also just not run Gigantha as well. There's a rare spared for you as well. So yeah, it's a great way to at least do the event if you do want to do it without crafting too much, but yeah, it seemed to be lacking this time around. So anyway guys, if you did enjoy today's video, then make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more content like this in the future. If they do bring Pioneer Light or whatever it is permanently to the client, I'm probably going to be doing some videos on it because I'm kind of tired of Historic and all of its nonsense. Kind of like a non-rotating format that's not full of nonsense. So yeah, that's Pioneer right now. So yeah. Anyway guys, take care and have a wonderful rest of your day. Peace.